So what if your perspective of faith was this? Not only will I trust in God for good things, I will trust in Him through the bad things. That faith not only provides results, it refines me. That it matters more who you are than the results. You think the greatest part of Noah's life, or the greatest thing in Noah's life, is that he built an ark. And despite the fact that everybody else died, he was saved. No. The greatest thing in Noah's life is that for 120 years, he was building an ark for an event that has never happened before. That's the real testimony. Do you know the kind of madness it takes for a man to be constructing? You need to understand, up until this point, it has never rained before. Read the book of Genesis. Water would rise from the ground as a mist and water the ground. It had never rained before. So, because you need to understand why, just think about it. 120 years, a man is saying a flood is coming. If somebody wakes up today and tells you there is a flood coming that will wipe out the whole earth, is it hard for you to believe it now? The reason, do you know what it means that for 120 years you are preaching and no single person believes you? It was because it had never happened before. That's why nobody believed. So do you know what it means? That a man wakes up in the morning, he takes wood, and the entirety of his life for 120 years is to build an ark for an event that has never, number one, rain has never fallen before, or it has never rained before. Number two, not to talk of a kind of rain that could lead to a flood. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? You think the superb thing about Noah's life was the ark. No! It was 120 years of constructing. That he wakes up every single morning, wakes up his children, says, oh yeah, let's go and fetch for plank. I can, if me, I was one of his children, I told him, what that pay, kini, daddy, I'm going to show, I'm cooking. Even if, okay, agreed, no problem, it's going to rain as a flood. May God even show us one or two things for now. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Let God show us like one or two drops of rain. Make dew even fall. At least then we'll be able to comprehend what it is you are saying. What do you mean for 120 years there wasn't a single sign that this thing was going to happen, but he was still hitting the nail on the plank every single time. Hitting the nail on the plank every single time. That is actually what Noah's faith was about. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And that's why I said it on Sunday. It's not so much the results. It's who you become. That's the point. You think it's the result. If it's the result, you can always get the result another way. I said it before. If it's about car, you can find another way to get the car. If faith is about the results, you are not any better from the person who steals money to get the car. Because it's all about getting the car at the end of the day. Are you with me? But the point of faith is that you have trusted in God before for a car. That the next time something ever shows up in your life that you need to trust God for, you can tell people, listen, this God can be trusted. There's a difference between telling people God can be trusted because Bible says it, and God can be trusted because Bible says it, but sir, I have some things to tell you. I can list events to you, sir. I can list events to you. This has happened in my past. I'm telling you, you can trust this God. Hallelujah. So what if you understood that your faith is not just for the result, it's for refining you? Imagine that you were friends with Paul, and when he was a Pharisee, he was a big boy. Everywhere where he was walking, people were bowing down. And now, because of this Jesus, he becomes so bad, they are trying to kill him, they let him down in a basket. As his friend, what will you say to him? Why is your life like this now? You were better off before. I thought they said this Jesus changed lives. It looks like it's for the worst. In other words, there are situations in your life that the world will shake their heads at, but God is nodding. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. For he that comes to God must believe that he is, and he is a rewarder of those that diligently seek him. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. It's about pleasing God. So when you recognize that your faith is about pleasing God, that's why the foremost thing about faith is to find out what the will of God is. Faith begins where the will of God is known. Faith doesn't begin when the need arises. Faith begins when you know the will of God concerning that need that arose. There are certain things that the world will applaud you for if you do it. But listen to me, you have failed. Because that was never God's will. That was not what God told you. And there are some other things that the world will look at you and shake their head for. But listen to me, in terms of faith, you passed. For by his the others obtain a good report. What if you recognize the point of faith is this, that I obtain a good report? It's not about the results. It's not about the things, the nice things in the physical or so on and so forth. It is about where does God want me to be? What's God's plan for the next 3 months? If I figure it out, I'm going to stay on it. That's faith. It's that simple. It's that simple. So faith becomes the will of God for every matter in my life. And that's why it says faith does not begin where the need arises. It begins where the will of God is known concerning that need. So faith doesn't start when, oh, I need a car. No, it starts when I need a car. What's God's will concerning this car? What's God's will concerning this relationship? What's God's will concerning this traveling out? What's God's will concerning this marriage? What's God's will concerning these kids? What's God's will concerning this thing or concerning that thing? When I find out the will of God, and that's why I've already said, don't assume what the will of God is. Don't now say because of what pastor has said. The will of God is always going to be something not nice. You always, I didn't say that to you.